Hi everyone, this is Nicole from Write at Home, and welcome to day number 2 of the National Craft Month celebration with Write at Home and Friends. If you didn't see my video yesterday, then I'll give you a quick rundown of what I'm doing this week. Each day you can come back to either my YouTube channel or to my blog and find a new post that is inspired by a set challenge, and there's prizes, giveaways, and different ways that you can participate. So make sure to go back to my video from yesterday so that you can see yesterday's challenge, and then also make sure to go into the description box of this video to head over to the blog so you can get even more information. So today I am super excited to welcome Shari from Simon Says Stamp, and our challenge for the day is to incorporate spring florals into our card. So let me show you what I created. So I'm starting off with my Misty, and inside I have a piece of cardstock that is cut to an A2 sized card base that's not scored or anything, but I like to have those on hand so that I can use them for die cutting the different elements that coordinate with certain stamp sets, so that I can store it with the stamp set and use it for easy stamp layering. So I put this into the bottom corner of my Misty, and the holes allow me to just pop in my die cut, place my first layer, and then quickly and easily stamp. So here I'm starting with my base layer of my Anemone set, and I'm using some of the Catherine Pooler inks, which are now available in the Write at Home shop, which I'm excited about. And this color here is Sweet 16, which I love. It's a pretty spring lilac color, and for this card I decided to go with a different color scheme because I always do pinks and stuff like that, and I never really do purple, so I decided to take advantage of this gorgeous color and put it to use on this card. And you can see off to the side that I have a few extra anemone stamped, and having this little die cut kind of cheat sheet piece really makes mass producing these flowers much easier, because you can just pop it in, you already know that it's lined up, and just ink up your stamp and stamp. So the veins of the anemone were stamped in Flirty Fuchsia, and now I'm using pixie dust to do the kind of shadowing on the outer petals. And for the center of the flower, I'm using Shea Butter, which is a really pretty kind of muted yellow color, and the contrast with the purple is just a perfect combination. And for the center, I'm using Midnight. And you can see how those look stamped right here. And next I'll move on to the stems. So I'm just doing one of each type of stem that's included in the set, and because they use different pieces, I'm able to just place them in and ink them up at the same time. And for the base layer, I'm using Green Tea, also by Catherine Pooler Designs, and this is probably one of my favorite green colors ever. It's just such a gorgeous shade of green. It's not too bright and it's not too muted, and it looks especially great when paired with this eucalyptus color, which I'm using for the veins. So now that I'm all done with my flowers, I can move on to my background piece. So here I have a piece of A2 sized watercolor paper, a water brush, an acrylic block, and the Mint to Be color of Catherine Pooler ink, and I just kind of sponged some of that onto the acrylic block to act as my palette, and I'm picking it up with a water brush and just adding a layer onto my watercolor paper. I brought that over to my heat tool and completely dried it, and now I'm adding a second layer of color just to add even more vibrancy, and that blue color is going to act as the perfect contrast to the bright purple flowers. I'm pulling out my Misty again to stamp my sentiment for my card. I have some black cardstock here that I'm treating with my anti-static powder tool, and then over top I'm going to place one of the greetings from my His Love set, and I'm just gonna add that in, kind of stamp it along the bottom so that later I can trim it out, and ink that up with some Versamark ink, and then heat emboss it with white embossing powder. Instead of leaving it as a thick strip, I decided to grab out some of my Fisker scissors and just trim closely around the sentiment. I didn't want to have the thick strip because it would cover up so much of the flowers, so I just grabbed out some scissors that I like to use especially for fussy cutting, because I feel that some of my other ones kind of leave a raised edge to my cardstock, so these ones cut nice and smoothly, and this will work much better for my card design. So now I can just assemble the card. I'm adding some foam adhesive onto the back of my 3 flowers, and I'm going to glue my 2 leaves down with just some tape runner adhesive. And for my sentiment, I'm going to add foam adhesive to one side where it kind of hangs off of the flowers, and then tape runner adhesive to where it overlaps the flowers. And that way everything will lay nice and flat. I also decided to kind of distress the edges of the watercolor cardstock to add even more texture, so I just grabbed out the same scissors and ran that along the edges, and I just glued this down onto an A2 size card base. And that finishes my card for day 2. Thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure to head over to the blog so that you can find the link over to the Simon Says Stamp blog, and you can see Shari's card. You'll also want to make sure to head over there so that you can get details about how you can win a $25 gift certificate to the Simon Says Stamp shop. And I just wanted to mention that I'm holding the submissions for the challenges open until April 1st, so that you have plenty of time to participate, so don't worry about having to rush. But again, all of that is listed in the blog post, which is linked in the description box down below, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.